Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
Good
Ciao.
evening or good morning. Ciao everyone. And we are here
Well,
with Felipe, as you can see, Felipe Andreoli from Angra. Hi Felipe.
yes. How's it going, guys? Good to see you all. It's been
Oh,
a
thank
while.
you. It's nice to see you as well. We are doing good. Uh, in the limit of the situation, of course. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm not in lockdown yet, but soon. But yeah, I'm enjoying my son these days, seeing him grow up and change every day and get big and fat and heavy. And
That's
also,
good.
I'm working on my solo record, so that's
Awesome.
exciting. Yeah, I have 9 songs, almost finished, ready for going into the studio. Um, yeah, and I'm really happy about it. But that's it, and mostly working from home, doing the remote recording sessions, and doing live streams like this one, talking to the friends around the world, which is great, and not much else actually.
Yeah, yeah, it's what we all are about during these weird times. But well, it's all we can do. But I think that there is also a good, a positive thing about this because we took a rest and we are enjoying more parts of the life and our jobs that were maybe there waiting for us to go and
Yeah,
starting doing that. And for me, at
see,
least, it was like
I
this.
see that a lot of people took the time to write music because they're home so much and work on strategy and everything you do besides shows. Because when you are on tour, it's very hard to work on these other things, right? As you
Yeah.
guys know, and so many people are improving their businesses, especially the internet, where you sell merchandise, your social media presence, maybe your website gets a revamp. And I think it's a good thing, just using the time to make the business part of music work better, which is something that we all need to do. And one thing that I've been doing a lot also is working with my online courses,
Hmm.
which are just a perfect solution for people staying at home, you know. So that has been going great actually, and that has been my main activity other than being a parent and working on my record.
That's great. And I'm pretty sure that our man behind the scenes right now is searching for the link for your courses, and we will be able to show it
Yeah,
on the screen.
Felipe, felipeandreoli.com.
Oh, okay. So it's
That's the
just
website.
your
And you go
website.
to online courses. Most of them are still in Portuguese at this time. One of them is translated to English, has English subtitles, so anyone can watch it. And I'm in the process of uh, translating them all. But yeah, it's a great thing because people get to study at home, use the time that they would otherwise be watching YouTube, watching silly cat videos and whatnot. So
Yeah.
doing something productive.
Also, right now is it's a great opportunity to learn some Portuguese. So, guys, go and watch the
Yeah,
videos.
why not? If you're Italian, especially, I think you won't have such a hard time
You know,
figuring out what I'm saying.
I watched some videos from you. They were in Portuguese, of course, but I did understand the important things
The content.
about yes. Yes. So yeah, it was. It's great. It's not that different from Italian,
Yeah, but
more or
this is
less.
actually a great dilemma that I have because, of course, we have such a great fan base in Brazil, but we also have all the rest of the world. And Brazilian people, they are very jealous when we start talking in English. They don't like it because, like in Italy, some parts of Italy, most people don't speak English,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
they feel excluded, even if they have Portuguese subtitles. So it's always a struggle figuring out the best way to do it. So in Instagram is easy because I can write in Portuguese and English and have the flags for each language. But for videos like YouTube, what do? You know? So do I speak English, talk to the whole world, but maybe the Brazilians will get pissed off? Or do I talk in Portuguese to make the Brazilian people happy, but people like you will be excluded because it's all in Portuguese? So I've been thinking about it, maybe do a second channel, English only. You know, that's the solution, but a lot of work because you have to do everything double.
Yeah.
Or maybe work on subtitles, which is a pain in the ass to do. And some people, they never find the subtitles anyway. They think it doesn't have subtitles or closed captions. So it's a struggle. Yeah.
Or worse, they use the automatic subtitles, which are something incredible.
And it makes no sense at all. Sometimes I do it just for fun, watching the automatic translation and the absurd things that they say.
Yeah, I use the same language as the language in the video usually when I use automatic translation. So if I'm speaking in Italian, I use Italian subtitles, and they are just something completely different, and it's great.
It's like comedy.
Yes, it's better because you are not expecting anything.
Yeah.
So let's start with our first official question. Which is, when did you start playing and how?
Well, I started playing the acoustic guitar, the nylon guitar, which is very common in Brazil for people to start with the nylon guitar. I was around 10, 11 at the time, listening to a lot of music that my parents listened to, so progressive music a lot and pop music. And so people on my where I lived, they started playing the acoustic guitar as well. So I got one for myself, and I went to have some classes. And I was playing for about a year when the friend of mine from school said that they have formed a band to play in a school festival in a few weeks from then. And he said, well, you play the acoustic guitar, so you can play bass. So buy a bass and be a bassist. You know, because no one else wants to play the bass. I was not in the band at the time, so I said, yeah, why not? Because where the place where I had guitar lessons, they had a bass in that same room. So sometimes I went there and played with the bass a little bit, and I enjoyed it. So I said, yeah, I'm going to buy a bass and play with you guys. So I bought a bass for $80, right? It was a shitty bass, and it has very old strings. So the guy at the shop, he said, you should buy some strings. Sure, how much are those? $20. So yeah, with 4 packs of strings, you buy a new bass. And so I restrung the bass like in that way, not knowing what I was doing. But long story short, in 1.5 weeks, we had the show, and I played the songs. We played Guns N' Roses and what else? We played Iron Maiden and Metallica. No, not Metallica, but things like that. Classical cover songs that people start with. And I ended up being the singer as well. So I played bass and sang, and that took me like 1.5 weeks. So I was very excited because it was easy for me to learn, right? And then I kept doing it, just learning new songs. I was very into Metallica at the time, so I was learning every Metallica song possible. And I formed a band with some friends playing Metallica only and singing as well. And I went from there, just from band to band, of different styles of rock and metal at first. Then I started listening to fusion and jazz, and started working on improvisation and harmony and whatnot. And getting in better and better bands as time went by. So one day I joined the band called Karma, which is a progressive metal band, which I loved, by the way. And the manager of Karma invited me to play with Paul Diano.
No.
Right?
Okay.
So we did a record with him and toured with him in Brazil. And then from there, I got the invitation to audition for Angra. and the rest is history. You know, I was 20, 21 at the time. So I was playing bass for 7 or 8 years when I joined Engra, which is crazy.
Yeah, because it's early.
Yeah.
It's not that. Yeah, but when did you?
You know, as a bass player, you know that's not in. People who play bass know that it's not easy to play bass in Engra, right?
Oh yes, absolutely.
But I wasn't prepared for the speed, but I was working on everything else. Because I always say to people, if you don't play melodic metal, you don't work on those kinds of speeds because you don't need to, right? For most music, you will maybe play difficult licks and phrases and grooves, but only very specific bands like Angra will demand the speed. So when I joined Angra, I had to work on the speed big time, you know? That was the main difficulty that I had. But yeah, it worked out, it seems. It's been 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that you are one of the most precise bass players when you are playing fast, especially. It's crazy. People who is not bass player cannot understand how difficult it is to play fast and clean on the instrument, because it's not like guitar. If you have to go at the same speed of a guitar player, you simply cannot, because the strings are too slow. I don't know how to explain it. You have to force the strings to go at your speed, which is difficult.
And to make them sound decent, you have to hit them hard.
Yes.
You know, so it's not only fast, but also, you know, you have to play hard and fast.
Yes.
So it takes some time to develop the speed and and not only the speed, but also the resistance, the stamina, to be able to do it for a 4 or 5 minute song that has many sections with 16 notes at maybe 170 BPM. So that was the main thing that I had to work on when I joined Engra, because I was, of course, playing Dream Theater and Jaco Pastorius and Victor Wooten, a lot of difficult music.
Yes.
But none of it required the speed and the stamina that Engra did.
Yes.
But yeah, worked out, especially because of the 3-finger technique that I use, which allows me to save some energy. You know, when I split the job from 2 fingers to 3 fingers, it makes it a little bit easier to handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw it. I was impressed. But that's awesome. I wanted to ask you, when did you switch to the 6-string bass? Because I suppose it was a 4-string for $80.
Yeah.
Also $20 for the strings is not.
It was a 4-string indeed. When I was 15, I bought my first 5-string bass. And when I was 17, I traded it for a 6-string bass. And there were both Ibanez basses, SR model. And 1 year after I got the 6 strings, I was very much into Jaco Pastorius and fretless basses. So I took out the frets from the bass. And I stayed like that for maybe 1.5 years with no frets on the bass. And then eventually I needed a better bass. But it was still hard to find good 6-string basses in the market. So I got myself a better 5-string bass, which is the bass I had when I joined Engra, right? Which is also a SR bass. This one right here, this guy here, and but it's a way better bass. And I used it on the Rebirth. I recorded Rebirth with it. But as soon as I had the chance during the tour, the Rebirth tour, I found this guy here, which is a 6-string bass, exactly the same model. And I got it because I was making a better money at the time. So I had the pair, the 5-string, 6-string basses. And I kind of switched between the two. And when I signed with the Brazilian company called D'Alegria, which I had a custom bass with, then I kind of went 6-string only for 95% of the time.
Okay, that's great.
That became a very bass player oriented chat now.
Well, you're right. It's not the best. It was just my curiosity. It's just...
No. I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
No, but I know that people do not like bass. Okay, guys, I'm sorry, but there are two bass players for the first time, I think, in this live chat. So
If they don't like it, screw them.
I will not ask anything else about bass. It was just my curiosity. I didn't have the chance to speak to you a lot during the tour, so I am getting the chance now. I have the same bass, so
6-string bass.
Yes, BTB
for the
BTB Ibanez. Yes. So, yes.
Well, guys, go on. It's your moment. Enjoy it.
No, we are bass players. We don't care. It's just we don't need this, okay?
You don't have ego, right?
Exactly.
Not so much. Not as much as guitar players, that's for sure.
Yeah. one solo for the lifetime. Yeah.
I don't know your experience with your singer. I can't tell, but usually,
Singers, they're just singers, front woman or front man.
Yeah.
There is that's why they're called like that. Anyway, we do have some comments, guys, right?
Yeah.
Let's go for them.
We have to say hi to a lot of people, a lot of friends who are spreading some love for Felipe.
Oh, thank you.
Let's say hi to Ibrahim.
Hi, Ibrahim.
Hey there, man.
How's it going?
Our good friend Matthew Lee Hansen. Good evening.
Hi, man.
How are you, man?
Andre, who is speaking, I think, Portuguese. I don't know.
Yes.
Let me translate it. It's a totally internal joke about Boss pedals, but it's actually Roland, because we used to make videos of the recording process and pre-production process of Omni, and we use a lot of Roland stuff. We are Roland artists, so every time we showed on video a Roland product, we would say, "Roland, pay us," So that became a meme, right? And that's what he's referring to.
Okay, we have already a curious question for you, Felipe.
Okay.
Salute, Felipe. I'm a fan of Engra of the first period with Andre, Kiko, Luis, Rafael, and Ricardo. I stopped listening to the band after Fireworks. What could you say to motivate me to listen to the actual Angra?
That's a very interesting question. Well, what I can say is that it's still Angra, in a sense that we have the same original principles of mixing heavy metal with classical music, with Brazilian music, and of course, through the years with the various lineup changes, every musician coming in the band gave it its own flavor, so to speak. And of course, the singers are the main difference. Andre is a very particular singer with a very particular voice. Edu is totally different, and Fabio is totally different from both of them. But I think every one of them brought something to the table which is unique and special. And I think it always benefits to be open-minded about it and give it a listen, What can you lose from doing that, right? With you will still find the speed songs, you will still find the ethnic stuff, the Brazilian rhythms, you will still find more mid-tempo proggy music. You will still find a lot of guitar stuff that people love, and a lot of orchestral arrangements and high-pitched vocals. Everything is there, of course, with different people and different songs. And the main thing that people maybe don't realize is that when you listen to a band and you're a teenager, it's very hard to mimic or to replicate the feeling you have of discovery for a band, right? So probably you guys remember the first time you listened to, let's say, Iron Maiden or Metallica or Judas
Yeah.
Priest, right? And you were probably teenagers at the time. How can you again feel the same way 10, 15, 20 years later? Even if you listen to the same songs of the same bands, you were not the same as you were. So that feeling you had is very hard to replicate. But people seem to be always in search of that same feeling, you know, in search of the same experience of grabbing the record and looking at the lyrics and listening to those songs for the first time, right? But I think that if you showed me, let's say, Kill 'Em All now for the first time, I would hate it.
Yeah.
Probably, probably, you know? But Kill 'Em All was the first record, it was the first CD, actually, that I bought with my own money. And I love the album. But I know that 2020 Felipe would not have liked this record had I listened to it for the first time. So what can I say? Give it a listen. You know, you might like it, you might not like it, which is fine also. But it's still Engra, right? Of course, it sounds different. But even, you know, from Angel's Cry to Holy Land, it sounds different. From Holy Land to Fireworks, it sounds different, way different, actually. And of course, for every record, there's a difference. There's a new character in the band. But listen to it, you might like it.
Yeah, that's very interesting actually, because I realized the same thing, and also with some of my students, the younger of them, which liked, for example, Eminem, which is an artist that was huge even if when I was younger, but they love Eminem with the songs that he's doing right now, which are great in my opinion, but they do not know anything about the original Eminem for me. For example, I do have some students that were not even born when Eminem did the 8 Mile film, the movie. And it's impressive. They didn't even know that there was a movie. In my opinion, his best tracks were released before the movie. So
It's like with Dream Theater. When people tell me that their favorite album is Metropolis Part 2, which came out in 2000, I say, dude, 92 Images and Words was a fucking revolution. Awake 94 was another revolution, 7-string guitar. These are my favorite albums. I love Metropolis as well, but yeah, that's the same thing. It's a generational thing. You know, some people have their favorite album as Angel's Cry or Holy Land. Some people have Rebirth in Temple of Shadows. Some people have Omni, you know, because they maybe started listening to the band now, and then they will go back and listen to the records.
Yes.
So it's a generational thing.
Yeah, but this is also the great thing of music. One of the many things that I love about music. It's that everyone listens to it and they find something different.
Exactly, because you interpret it your own way, right?
Yes.
And music hits people in different manners as well. Some people are very moved by a song and you can listen to it and feel nothing. For example, many of my friends love Muse.
Yeah.
They love Muse. I tried listening to it many times and it doesn't hit me at all. You know, it just didn't hit me. And I'm sure it's great. And I can hear it. It's so well done and well written and original and well composed. But for some reason, it didn't hit me as other stuff do.
Yeah. Also, growing up, I realized that I hate people that say, "Oh no, this music is good. You have to like it." It's not like that. I mean, it's
that's
music.
not how it works at all.
Yeah, you have to just have your opinion. This is the only thing that you have to do is to judge after you listen to it. So
yeah.
go
Also,
listen.
it's always better to say that you like or don't like something instead of saying that it's good or bad, because most people are not able to judge properly. You know,
Yes.
if you're going to judge something based on technical aspects, you got to know what you're talking about.
Yes.
And when you say something is bad, it means that it's poorly done, that it's poorly composed and poorly executed and recorded. That's what bad means, you know? So some people, most people confuse these two assessments of music. They say it's bad when in actuality they just don't like it, you know? So that's what I try to do, even though I'm capable of having a technical opinion most of the time. I try to stick with I like it or I don't like it.
Yeah, also because I know, for example, if I wanted to make a record and I wanted to write everything dissonant, it can sound very bad to people, and I could say that it's wrong, but it's written in the exact way that I wanted to write it. So that's something. There are a lot of classical composers that use dissonance, for example, and if you listen to them now, you can say, "Oh, this is wrong." No, it's not wrong. For example, dodecaphonia and Schoenberg and all that stuff. It's just if you don't like it, it's bad. If you like it, it's good. There
And
is nothing.
also, there's no wrong or right because it's art,
Yeah. Yes.
right? And
Absolutely.
there's no rules. I mean, if there are rules, where are they? I never saw them. Of course, people are free to like it or not, but never, never will people be able to tell you that you can't do anything or, you know, that it's wrong. There's no wrong. You know, there's wrong notes, but sometimes that's what people want to do,
Yes.
right? It's different of not being able to do something. Like you said, Schoenberg
Yeah.
and atonal music.
Yes.
Sounds wrong, but it's totally, you know, well thought out. Everything is well thought out. There's a method to the music. You know, you may not like it. Many people don't. Most people don't like it. But don't say it's wrong because it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a perfect answer, Felipe. I agree totally, says Matthew.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Also, we do have other comments, right?
Yeah. Everyone says, I love your background, Felipe. I'm a guitar lover.
Those are
All right.
bass.
So if you're a guitar lover, I think you like this part better because I have 3 guitars here and 1 bass. Behind me, you find all basses.
Only bass.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bass player ever, says Ivan.
Thank you, Ivan. I appreciate it.
We have a question from Andre. Felipe, Rafael said that he wishes to improve the Angra's reach inside Brazil. In your opinion, how would you balance your efforts to all the other worldwide markets and still expand it at home?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to. I didn't see him saying that. But I would imagine that if he did say that, what he means is that we want to do more in Brazil. Brazil is a huge country, and every time we tour, we do like 60 shows plus, and still we don't scratch the surface of the amount of CDs we have with fans in them that would like to see the shows. Also, it's always been a struggle for metal music to get into the big media. But Engra has been actually fortunate because we have open doors on the biggest TV channels in the country. And we were fortunate to take part in festivals that were mostly pop music festivals. And we were there. Engra is a pretty respected band. So I think the best we can do is keep on working seriously and doing great records and doing great shows. And I think everything else is just a result from this work, right? And of course, inside the band, we need the structure to support these actions in a way that we can not only do shows and reach the people there, but reach everyone else. I think our best way to reach people now is through social media and the internet, way more than the TV. You know, I think the TV is growing less and less important for artists. Of course, it's still important because some people, especially the more uh, the big population, still watches TV a lot. But I think the Angra fans, they're mostly on the internet and they're mostly reachable through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and whatnot. So I think that's where the effort must be concentrated. Of course, right now is a challenge for us to do much because Fabio lives in Italy and Bruno lives in Los Angeles. Marcelo lives like some 1,000 miles away from Sao Paulo. And it's very hard for us to do the live shows that some bands are doing. And but yeah, I think once we had the chance to get together again, write music, write a new album, and celebrate. Next year we celebrate 30 years of Angra in October, so we have a lot to celebrate. And there's a lot of things that we want to do. There's a lot of plans that we're trying to get going. And also next year, Rebirth becomes 20 years. So it's the 20th anniversary of Rebirth. We have to celebrate that as well. There's a lot to do. And I think as long as we are working and doing our job the best we can, reaching more and more people is just a natural consequence.
Yes, that
Great.
great answer. Let's go on with our question, guys. If there are no more comments or questions for Felipe.
Uh,
So when did you decide to become a professional musician? Which was the spark that brought you to this decision?
I think it was a natural decision just by being so into it and grabbing every chance I could to play with different people. So there was a time in my life, I was probably 15 or 16. I was going everywhere with my bass on my back, like getting 2 or 3 different means of transportation to get to one rehearsal in a Sunday morning, far away from home, you know, and sometimes hauling my amp inside a bus, you know, and it was a lot of effort. So I think it just became clear to me that there was nothing else that I wish I would do as a professional. And that was very early on. I think it was probably 15 when I realized that this is what I want to do. And back then I only played bass for 2 years, right? But I was so into it and it was so natural to me that it didn't occur to me to do anything else. But of course I had to, you know, let it be more solidified as a profession. So I did go to college
No.
for business administration for a while. Then I decided to quit college and go to the music college. And I did a little bit of that. But as soon as I got there, I got the gig with Bodiano.
Yeah.
And I went on tour and wasn't able to complete that year. I ended up getting back to the business college and then I joined Engra. So not only I decided that's what I wanted to do, the opportunities that I had also showed me the path. I didn't have to make much of a choice. You know, I just worked and worked and worked and expanded my network. And next thing I knew, I was in Angra and touring the world. So not much of a choice there.
Yeah, that's great. And this is a difficult question. Usually, it's always hard to answer this one, but I'll do it anyway. Which are the albums and the bands that have influenced you the most during your musical growth?
Well, the number one band that got me into metal was Metallica, for sure. When they released the Black Album, I was, 100% Metallica, 100%. And I thought they were the greatest musicians ever, and that was the best album ever. And I was all into that. But of course, when I started listening to more bands like Pantera and Megadeth, and then later on Dream Theater and Yngwie Malmsteen. These were the bands that influenced me in the metal genre. But I was very fortunate because at home, my parents always had amazing records from Yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Genesis, and Rush, and all these bands, and also some very good pop music from The Police and Tears for Fears and Phil Collins and Seal later on in the 90s. So I was surrounded by good music all around, you know, and that those were big influences as well. So when I found about prog metal, it was a big thing for me because it was joining two styles that I love so much in one. And also at that time, I was very much into fusion. So I listened to bands like Chick Corea, Weather Report, Return to Forever, Mahavishnu Orchestra, and all these guys, you know, and studied them as well. I started studying jazz and knowing about Joe Coltrane and Charlie Parker and all these guys. And so my influences are a mixture of these guys, the fusion guys, with the metal guys, with the progressive guys, and that makes me what I am. So when you listen to my record, hopefully it becomes clear that that's where it comes from, because my record is very much a prog metal album with heavy fusion influences. So yeah, I think that sums it up pretty good.
We can't
Did you
wait
get
for your.
also some influences from the Brazilian music as well,
Yes,
such as samba or bossa nova? You know, that kind of rhythm.
we of course listen to Brazilian music from birth in Brazil, so
Okay.
that's very ingrained in our DNA. But I started really paying attention to Brazilian music when I started listening to jazz and fusion.
Mhm.
So to me, Brazilian music came in that package because I started listening to Ivan Lins and Egberto Gismonti and Hermeto Pascoal, and knowing more about Brazilian harmony and rhythms, and studying the Brazilian fusion as well, which is a little bit of these guys and others. And so I was not big on Brazilian music. I was no expert ever in Brazilian music, but it's in me. So that's something that you will find also in my solo record.
We can't
Awesome.
wait for it.
Yeah.
You told us that you're working it, so we'll wait.
Yeah.
Back to Angra. You joined the band in 2001, right? How did it go? Do you remember your first day in the band?
Well, basically, they were searching for a bass player at the time. They had already found Achilles and Edu. They couldn't find a bass player. They were searching for one and just never finding one. And I was completely oblivious to the whole process. I knew they were searching for musicians, but I didn't actively search for them or send any material. But I knew so many people that were friends in common with the guys, with KIKO and Rafael. And I had also played with Achilles in Podiano, and so many people recommended me to them that KIKO ended up getting my number and calling me. So one day I was home, and KIKO called, and I had met him before in a music school which I went to, where he was also a teacher. But we had never spoken really. So he called me and he said, "Maybe you're aware that Angra is looking for a bass player." And I said, "Yeah, I'm aware. So I want to know if you want to come home in my house and we can, talk and jam if you're interested." And I said, "Sure, yeah, let's do it." And he said, "Can you come tomorrow?" I said, "Sure, yeah." So that was in the evening, right? So I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to Kiko's house tomorrow. I better practice some Angra stuff to show him, right? Because I knew Angra and I had Angels Cry. but I had never played any songs. So I put Angel's Cry in the record player. First song is Carry On, of course. And I started playing Carry On, and in about 30 seconds, I was completely burnt out. My right hand was like, totally stiff, and my muscles and my fingers didn't obey me anymore. And I said, well, that's going to be interesting tomorrow. So, well, what could I do at that point, right? So next day, I took a bus and went to KIKO's place. And when I got there, we talked a lot. And he talked about their plans to rebuild the band after 3 guys left. And he talked about, what Angra did and the many different sides of Angra that they had to deal with. And at that point, he said, so let's play a little bit. And I said, sure. And he put some funk backing tracks in G minor. And we were there like playing and improvising for a good 10 minutes, over the backing tracks. And just grooving and soloing, And he seemed to be enjoying it, right? So when it was done, he said, okay, so, Angra, any Angra songs? Do you play any of the stuff? I said, sure, yeah, I play, yeah. So show me a little bit. And I showed him a little bit of the 3-finger technique to play the fast stuff. And he was very amused by it. He said, you play with 3 fingers? I never seen that before. Does it work for a fast song? I said, sure, yeah, it works perfectly. And he said, well, great then. So I left, and the next day he called me and he said, you're in. So welcome to Engra. And that was it. That's how it went down.
Amazing.
And then you had to solve the problem about the 30-second stamina for the right hand.
Yeah, that of course, we started rehearsing the new songs and arranging the new songs, and we rehearsed almost every day. So that helped also build the stamina, because KIKO knew, of course, that if you went searching for a bass player that was ready to play speed songs at request, he wouldn't find one, because you only do that if you really need to, yes. Right? As we were discussing before. So yeah, but he saw the potential for me to work on it and do it. So yeah.
That's great. Also, it's something that you can achieve with studying, and it's hard to maintain the groove and the dynamic while going fast.
And to be honest, I think I only really got comfortable with it in the middle of the tour, because in the first 3 months, maybe, I still struggled and I still felt fatigue and pain sometimes. But of course, when you play live, you play in a much deeper, harder intensity. So, but that made me strong and made me more resistant. And then I started finally playing without any discomfort.
Yes, just being on stage and with all the tension and all the stuff, and not paying too much attention on the technique you're using, makes you stronger.
Also, sometimes you don't hear yourself too good. We didn't have in-ears back then, so it was always a struggle trying to be louder than the drums, which were incredibly loud.
It never happens. Achilles, I don't know what you're talking about.
Achilles, he had not only his wedge, but he had 2 3-way woofers behind him, pointing to the stage.
That's the drum fill.
So it was crazy, the volume he had. And so everyone was struggling and, really killing the amps, trying to cope with the drums. It was a nightmare,
That's always the best when you have extreme volumes on the stage. So the guys on the PA just have to turn off the PA and from the stage.
I am sure that people, at least in the 10th row, they didn't hear the PA at all. Which meant which meant that they have no vocals and no keyboards. They only have guitars and drums and maybe bass if they're standing next to me. If they're on the other side, forget about it.
Yeah, we know what you're talking about because we do have a drum player who is very soft on the drums.
Yeah, don't hide.
I have a question.
That's a nice curiosity. Achilles used to film every show, and he had a ride, a Paiste ride, and the bell was this size and the ride was this size.
Huge.
And on the film, every time he played the ride, he was louder than the vocals. And sometimes the PA guy, he said, dude, I have the overheads really low, but this ride, you're not listening from the PA, it's from the drums themselves. You know, that's how loud it was. It was unbelievable. But yeah, go ahead.
What about getting along with the members of the band while joining Engra? Was it easy?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. Everyone was in a good mood back then, in a mood of getting together and doing a kick-ass record and doing the best we could. I felt really motivated because it was such a great opportunity for me. And I'm sure Achilles and Edu felt the same. And Rafa and Kiko, they had something to prove. You know, they really had. Because they had a lot of success with Angra in the previous 3 records. And they had big shoes, you know, to fill. So everyone was really pumped and motivated to do it. And that helped a lot. Of course, when things started, you know, really happening and you get on tour, you get in a bus for days and days in a row and money starts to be an issue and, you know, then the problems begin to arise and the different personalities begin to have an impact on the overall relationships. But, you know, that's normal, right? And I think in the ideal scenario, when someone will join a band, you should have a trial period with this person and spend some time with them on the road in a bus and see what they're like before you make a final decision. But that's impossible to do.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, you have bad surprises sometimes.
Yeah, it's always when there are those difficult times which are, well, being on the road and being, which is not being on the road. The problem is being in a very small space all the time with people which are just those that are supposed to play with. They are not the one that you want to live with, which the problem starts to come out because everyone has their habits, their spaces, their, I don't know, it's those little things that you cannot ignore.
That's why you see all these stories of great bands that they had a great chemistry on stage and they hated each other outside the stage.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what you said. You may have the chemistry to play together with the person, but living with someone, it's a very hard and a very delicate balance to achieve, you know? And when you have a lot of people, band and crew, in a confined space where people have no privacy at all and they have different habits, that can become a nightmare very, very quickly, you know? But, I mean, we toured together, so you saw the way it is now. It's a pretty relaxed environment.
Yeah.
Compared to any time previously in the band. Not only because I think everyone has a sense of respect for one another and has a sense of respecting each other's spaces, but also we know now the harm that not having those basic principles respected can bring to the band. I think a tour can make or break a band. If you're not able to communicate properly, if you're not able to respect the individual characteristics of every member, that's a very hard thing to maintain for a long time, you know.
I agree. I agree. We were lucky. We were people that, well, we had some fights at the first tour, but then we learned to respect our spaces, because it's actually about physical space when you are in a tour bus or in an RV, like it was in our case, and also leave time alone to people. It's not like we are on tour, so we want to be together all the time and do fun stuff all the time. There are some moments during the day that you want to be alone, that you want to do your stuff, your personal stuff, or just stay alone and not even hearing everyone else. And
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes people they they see me in a mall and they ask, "Oh, where are the rest of the guys?" Well, dude, what do you think? That I live with these guys? Go out with them every day? You know, I've been in a tour bus with these guys for 45 days straight. I don't want to see their faces for a while, you know? So no, we won't be going to the mall together anytime soon. Of course, when we're on tour, I think it's natural that some people stick together for some activities, and some other people's they like their own spaces. They want to be alone, or maybe there's another group of people that they like other kinds of stuff. And I think it's nice when you find people with alike minds and things that they like to do together, you know. But sometimes, yeah, you just want to be alone in your bunker for the whole day, doing nothing, and you don't want to talk to anybody. And yeah, you have those days too, you know. And it's nice when people know how to respect that.
yes, it's nice and it's hard to find. Well, in a professional environment, it's easier because it's everyone knows that it's important. So, but in a not so professional one, it's it's easier to find people that want to intrude your life and your space. So it's always hard. Yeah. Talking about Angra, which is almost 30 years now, how did the songwriting process change over the years?
It didn't change much, to be honest, because there's no rule of how a song comes to be. Sometimes two guys get together with an acoustic guitar and come up with an idea, and they show this idea to the rest of the band, and we start working on it. Sometimes one of us has an idea at home, and we program drums and keyboards, and we play it, and we deliver it, you know, much more completed or much more similar to what it's going to be when done. Sometimes it's just a straight up jam in the rehearsal room. You know, there's really no rule of how we do it. I think the next record is going to be different because not being able to be together as much, we're going to have to resort to technology to help us out in doing things remotely, which is never the same, never the same. One thing that we did change for the latest record for Omni is that almost no demos were made with programmed drums. We had Bruno the whole time, or as much as we could. And that made a big difference because it's okay to program drums when you don't have the drummer, but when you do have the drummer, not only he can arrange the part on the spot and you can exchange ideas about it, but it's much easier to connect the parts, you know, and listen to it in a final state or closer to final state. So that was great. And unfortunately, we won't have Bruno the whole time here this time, and we will have to work, you know, as best as we can remotely. But I had a little bit of the experience doing my own record. I did it with one friend, a guitar player called Dalton Santos, which came to my home like 10 times in 10 sequential weeks. And we worked one day a week. and we ended up with 9 tracks. And he helped me a lot to put the songs together. So that works too. And now Bruno is in LA. He's going to record my record, almost all of it. And he's doing it remotely. It's harder. Not only it's harder to connect the ideas and to, have the same fluence between parts, but it's also harder because when you're all together, you can commit to, a week. We're going to do this for a week and no one else is going to do anything else. But when you're home, things show up that need your attention and you give attention to those things and they rob you away from the process. So it's a much slower process too. But that's what we have. So that's what we'll do probably.
Yeah, due to the situation and also due to the fact that you live in so distant, it's not.
Yeah, if we all lived in Sao Paulo, it would be much easier to do. But it is what it is.
Oh yes, but it will be amazing, I'm sure about it. So we toured together in 2018 during Omni Tour here in Europe. What are your best memories of those days?
Oh, that was a great tour. It was a lot of fun, and it was a pretty relaxed environment. All the bands that play with us, they were cool guys, except for you, of course.
Oh. That's why we invited you. We wanted you to say it.
I'm kidding. No, it was great meeting you all and making friends and sharing the road, because it's not only about the shows. The shows, they last for a few hours every day, but the rest of the day, you're just living with people, and it's a great entourage. It's a great caravan going around Europe or wherever you are, the US. So it's great to meet new people, make new friends, and just watch the bands and see how everyone works in a different way and see how people, react to every day on the road. And that was a great tour. It was a lot of fun. It was very relaxed. Of course, later on our tour, we were much more tired and it became way harder. But back then, in 2018, we were still, pumped and full of energy. So it was great, yes.
Yeah, it was.
And you had
awesome.
some characters on tour, like Bruno Sa, these guys that make everything more interesting as well. So,
It was great. Yes. What about you guys? What do you remember about the tour?
Well, I got along very fast actually since the very first day. I remember that. Also remember that because we had Marcelo's birthday on the first tour, on the first day together, and we got along immediately. And from then on, we were always together, and you were so nice with us. I was very excited about doing a tour with you because, in my opinion, you are such a great musician, such a great band, and to feel so helped during the tour and with very good advices was an honor for me, and I will always remember that. And it inspired me to improve myself on the days, on the years later on, and it was just awesome and very, very funny. We had a lot of funny moments. I remember that.
Yeah, great, man. I had a similar experience when we toured with Dream Theater in Italy, by the way. We only had 4 shows together, 1 in Spain and 3 in Italy. And also Labyrinth was playing this tour.
Oh.
And I remember watching them every night from the stage and going to the sound checks. And I became friends with John Mayang's guitar tech, or bass tech, should I say. And I was very impacted by how professional and how organized it was. And after these shows, I came back to Brazil and I changed everything. I changed every piece of equipment I used, and I started looking for ways to improve my sound and for ways to improve our structure on the road. So it was very inspiring to be around those guys, you know, and it really changed me in a big way.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same thing for me.
Yeah, also for me, we learned a lot during that tour, and I remember a particular day. I think it was in Rotterdam, and I remember you and Marcelo sharing thoughts with us about our sound and how to improve it, how to mix it better, and I was really impressed by your suggestions and your will to help us to improve. So it was, I have really great memory, and I want to share also another memory of me. I think it was 2010, and it was Aqua tour for you, I think, and
Yes.
I went to see your concert in Milan, and
Okay.
I won a meet and greet ticket that time. So I knew you and Kiko and all the other guys at the time, and I remember my feeling that you were very nice people, also great musicians, but very nice people, and
That's great.
humble. And I have this same feeling when I meet you again in 2018. So
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Thank you. Yeah.
I remember. Well, I think that you are one of the most curious guys about tech stuff in Angra. Correct me if I'm wrong, because
Indeed.
I remember you coming on stage and asking us everything about our rack
Yes.
with everything in it, and he wanted to
Yeah.
replicate it back in Brazil.
I was very impressed because that was a very nice rack, everything in it, you know, just one unit. For an opening band, this is just a perfect solution, you know, and for a festival as well, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very interested in the way you did it. It was very organized and neat, you know. Yeah.
It
and
was
heavy.
based on
Yeah,
errors
it
and
was.
experience.
Yes, but I remember that Ari were so happy about it because
Oh,
we
yes.
were so fast changing the stage.
Yeah.
Just 7 cables and we are good to go.
Plug and play.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We wanted to be faster, to be honest, because when you are an opening band and you are taking a lot of time on stage, you're just taking away time for the other guys and also the tags that have to be fast. We wanted to be as
also
fast as
because
possible.
Also because when you're an opening band, you're always pressured. We have to open. We have to open. Do it fast, you know. So the fastest you can be on setup, the better. More time you have for sound check and getting, you know, acquainted to the stage. Yeah.
Yes. Also, since we never really had to have a proper sound check, even if we could, all the techs knew it, and they just skipped our sound check every night, and it was great. We already had our sound, so it was, oh no, okay, Ravenscry, they don't need the sound check.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I love sound checks. Come on.
Yeah. Now I like them as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are the plans for Angra in the future?
So, as I told you guys, we have a celebration coming for the 30th anniversary. And we have lots of plans, and we will have to see what we can realize during the pandemic and the second wave and whatnot. So everything kind of depends on that as well. But sure we'll do something. We still cannot disclose what the plans are until we really know that they're going to happen. But we're full of ideas of how to celebrate not only the 30th anniversary of the band, but also 20 years of Rebirth. One of the things we want to do is just play Rebirth in its entirety during the next shows. We actually have shows scheduled for end of April and May in Brazil. But right now, if you ask me, do you think they're going to happen? Probably not. But let's see. They're still up as of now. I hope we can play because I haven't played a show this year. And it's the first year since I am probably, 13 years old that I don't play live at all, which is crazy, right? And I had some shows scheduled for December with other bands. They're all gone, of course. But yeah, it's all going to depend on our ability to bring Bruno and bring Fabio to Brazil to work on the record. It's not, I think, worth doing a record that is not our best just because we want to do it. And the band is stopped right now. We're only doing it if it's really worth it, So it all depends. Right now, it's very open.
Oh, that's great. We are curious to see what you'll do, also because it means that there will be something that also other bands can do. So we want to know how the future will be.
Yeah. We have a new manager. We have a whole new management now. And they're great people. And one of the things we're doing now is organizing the backstage. So many things in 30 years, so many contracts, so many deals, so many agreements that we have to, work on, and the catalog that we have to work on as well. So we're doing a lot in the backstage, but also planning for the future.
Awesome.
Good.
In the meantime, guys, if you want check out all the channels from Felipe, you can find the links down below the description after this live chat ends. You can find him on Facebook, of course, on Instagram and on Twitter. And he is very inspiring, both as a person and as a musician, as a bass player.
Thank you.
Just go check his pages out and check his courses so you can learn both music and both Portuguese, as we said.
Yeah.
And also check out Angra, of course, but I'm pretty sure that you already know them. Speaking of which, do you have any side projects besides Angra?
I do have a few, actually. KIKO's solo project, which we just released a record a few months ago. Called Open Source. And actually, I would invite people to check out the downloads for the different stems of the record. You can download every instrument separately, jam along, or make a whole new song with the Bruno's drums or whatnot. It's great. And also have an instrumental quartet called For Action, which we mainly play in Brazil. But we released 2 DVDs, and there's some stuff on YouTube as well. That's number 4, Action. I have been playing with the band. I mean, not playing, but I was supposed to play with a band in Brazil called Matanza Ritual, which is a very well-known, more punk hardcore band in Brazil, which is very new to me. But we're supposed to do a few shows and maybe write an album with them. I don't know. I have a thrash metal band called One Arm Away, which you can find on Spotify. Is a really nice music. And what else? I have another project which is more hard rock oriented called Recall. That's Rick /all, and which is on Spotify as well. And I'm always doing stuff for other bands, doing recording jobs. Just always working in general.
Wow, a lot of side projects. Our man behind the scenes is complaining about them because there are too many and he cannot find all the links. But man, this is recorded, and I'm talking about with Federico, who is in the background doing the stuff. And you can watch again the video and stop the video, find the link, and put it in the description after the live ends. And this will be your job for the next week, Fede.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. Also, I wanted to point out that we are doing Spotify playlist, right, guys?
Yes,
where
we
you
are.
can find all the music from our guests, which are starting to being a lot. So you'll find a lot of great music. Angra will be there too, of course, and also all the side projects from Felipe.
Good.
After
Great.
Fede writes the list.
Yeah.
And that's great. We do have one final question for you, which is always, great, which is always, I think, the most interesting one, because it's not about music.
Okay.
Which are your hobbies and interests besides music?
I have two main hobbies. I play tennis. I love playing tennis. And I play as much as I can. Mauro as well?
Yeah.
So next time we have to bring our records, man, and just play some
Of
ball.
course.
Yeah. I wish I had someone on tour that I could play with. You know, I would certainly find time to
forward
do
to it.
Yeah. We need to form a band together now. So I love tennis. I love to play and I love to watch tennis. And I also love karts, go-karts. And I haven't been doing it much since the pandemic started. Not only because of that, but also because of my small kid at home. I play tennis in my building where I live. So I just get the elevator and I'm there. So it's quick. But the track where I drive karts, it's quite far. So it takes a few hours to go and get back. So I haven't been doing it much, but I plan to get back next year because I just love it. And I was starting to get good at it, you know? And then everything just stopped. But yeah, these are my hobbies.
Those are great and very unique, I'd say. Also, karting is great. Yes. So, guys, I think this is it. Do you want to say something?
Federer or Nadal?
Federer, of course.
Of course. Well.
But your guy's Sinner. This guy's Sinner. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. I think it's going to be top 10 in no time. If he keeps it up, he's going to be at least top 20. Yes.
I agree.
And I also like Fonini. He's a bit of an asshole, but he's a great player. Very talented.
He's funny. Yeah. With all his curses during the game.
Yeah. He's a great talented player. Yes.
It is.
I don't have a clue of what you're talking about, so that's great.
Fabio Fonini.
Is he Italian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Player.
It sounded like that. Okay.
How long have you been playing tennis?
Since I was a teenager. But I didn't play for some 10 years in the early 2000s. Then I got back. I'm not great, but I can hit a decent ball.
We'll see, man.
Okay, is that a challenge?
Of course it is.
Okay, challenge accepted. Is it going to be in Italy or Brazil?
It won't make any difference.
Because you can move. So.
Because now it's going to be in virtual tennis.
No, because I will win, of course.
All right. I always like to let the other guy think that they're going to win. It's way more fun when they lose.
I just remember the table game we had in France.
Which I never played. Because I couldn't stand Bruno Sa doing all the voices and all the acting. It was just too much for me. And I actually like board games, but he made me dislike it. You know.
It was okay. It was
And he
one
also
of
carried the bus. Let's just leave it at that.
yeah.
Which is #1 rule that he broke. You know, that's unforgivable.
No, it was just great. Oh.
Okay.
Are you still in touch with other guys from the tour besides your bandmates? Of course.
Yeah, not so much, but yeah, I talked to the guys eventually. I just sent a message to Jeff the other day. I talk to Bruno every now and then on Instagram, and yeah, mostly Instagram. Sometimes they comment on my stuff, or we exchange some DMs. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. I think we are about to get to the end of this great chat, but we usually ask to our guests to give a very official final speech. So
You're the president.
yes, now you are the president, the one who is not saying that he's been elected even if he isn't. So
Yeah,
go for
I'm
it.
not- If I have to be a president, not Donald Trump, please. So, guys, it was a big pleasure seeing you all again and remembering those great days we had together. And thank you for your questions and for, of course, everybody watching and all your comments and questions as well. And I hope we can see each other soon, and better yet, if it's on the road playing together. And of course, I hope all the best for the band and all the guys that are not here with us, and send them my regards. And that's it. Great talking to you, and sorry for taking long, Mauro,
No
to
problem,
make this
man.
happen. But yeah, it finally happened.
Thank you very much. It was absolutely a great honor. Thank you for accepting our invite, and it was inspiring for me, both as a person and as a bass player. I don't know what else to say. It was just great. I hope you guys. You're very welcome. Thanks to you. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and of course, if you want, you can subscribe to our channels on YouTube and set a reminder on our Facebook page so you won't miss the next live chat. And you can join our Telegram channel as well, so you can insult us in private as well. And I think this is it, guys. Thank you very much for being with us and for commenting and watching. And thank you, Felipe, again. And
Thank you, guys.
have a great day and have a great night. Bye, guys.
Ciao.